Hey guys, thank you for joining me again today as I continue the Get That Job webinar series. Today I will be going over the Career Edge module, the interview process. The learning objective for today's Career Edge, the interview process webinar includes the understanding of the three interview types, understanding proper interviewing etiquette, practicing developing rapport and emotional connections with hiring authorities, and learning how to articulate your personal value. Remember, the interview process is a buyer seller scenario. They have a problem, and you are the solution. There are 5 basic personality profiles that interviewers possess. First, we have laid back Linda. About 10% of interviewers are like Linda. Some of Linda's traits include apathy, negativity, somewhat distracted, and often seems preoccupied within their own challenges. Then we have, for certain, Cindy. About 10% of interviewers are like Cindy. Cindy's traits include having a clear understanding of what they want from an applicant, good knowledge of skills, and abilities that are needed to fill the position. Next, we have analytical Arnold. About 25% of interviewers are like Arnold. Arnold traits include focus on value, detail, accuracy, and being concise. Then we have friendly Frank. About 25% of interviewers are like Frank. Frank's traits include a deep need to be liked and respected, usually are friendly and outgoing, and often uses personal stories during the interview. Then finally, we have bottom line Betty. 30% of interviewers have this profile. Betty's traits include a very direct, almost impersonal approach. You may be viewed more as a resource responsible for a task rather than a human being with feelings and emotions. Great listening equals great interviewing. Listening is one of the most important competencies. There are 5 keys to effective listening. Listening attentively, respond actively, be respectful to every interviewer you interact with. Let them begin the line of questioning, listening without interrupting. It's important to understand being you attempt to be understood. Always remain patient in your responses. Make sure that the interviewer is completely finished with their question before you respond. The strategy in this one is always to pause, wait a few seconds, and then carefully articulate your answer. Next, the person asking the questions is in control. You should never be just responding to questions, but rather engaged in an active discussion with the interviewer. If you don't understand a question, just simply ask, "What do you mean?" Repeat key information to the interviewer. When you can repeat back in your own words what the interviewer has said, you demonstrate that you were really paying attention and actively listening. The last one is recommended to use both open-ended and closed-ended questions. Open-ended questions such as, "What is a typical day like?" encourage the interviewer to talk and give you more information. Also, incorporate closed-ended questions to bring the conversation to a conclusion. These are questions that can be answered with yes or no. For example, you could ask the interviewer, "Are you ready to make a decision today?" There are 3 main types of job interviews. The first type of interview is the basic question and answer session. The interview type is detailed and structured. They are seeking specific information about your wants, your objectives, skills, experiences, education, and your future potential with their company or business. The next kind of interview, and the most common, is the free-flowing interview, where the interviewer usually begins with a question like, "Tell me about yourself." They often use open-ended questions to gain insight. Last, some employers conduct group interviews, which, as you can imagine, is the most difficult and oftentimes most stressful. Group interviews can occur when a person will have to give presentations to a number of people, or if an employer wants to see how the candidate responds to multiple opinions. Online interviews are becoming more popular, therefore, you may be asked to interview by webcam for a position. Since this type of interview is likely to take place in your house, I wanted to review some things to take into consideration. When planning your sitting, use a plain or simple background. Make sure there isn't anything distracting behind you, like windows or things like that. If the interviewer can see part of your desk or room, make sure it's cleaned and organized. Technology check. Not all computers have webcams or microphones. It's important that you check your technology and perhaps even practice your interview in advance with a friend on another computer. Also, make sure there is sufficient light so that the interviewers can clearly see you. Treat an online interviewer just as you would a face-to-face interview. Always dress professionally, making sure that you are clean and tidy. It's also important to make sure that there's absolutely no background noise during your interview. Make sure you choose a location for your interview where you're not going to be interrupted. Concerning audio, it's important to think about if you will talk through your computer microphone or by a phone line. Make sure that you test this out before the interview. The most important tip, I feel, is to let your personality shine. It may be somewhat difficult to see your energy and personality through a webcam. Because of this, you may want to try overemphasizing things like smiling and showing enthusiasm. All right, here are 15 most cited reasons for rejecting applicants. Poor personal appearance, no career purpose or goal, lack of enthusiasm, lack of confidence, overemphasis on money, failure to ask questions about the job, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in the next couple of slides, lack of courtesy, limp handshake, failure to make eye contact, failure to research the employer, indefinite response to questions, sloppy resume or poor social media profile, a cynical attitude, inability to take criticism, or failure to show appreciation for the interviewer's time. I know we briefly discussed this in a previous webinar. However, I wanted to revisit some of the employer concerns in a little bit more detail because I feel like this is extremely important that you are aware. Some interviewers' hiring concerns is to make their life easy. If this person doesn't work out, what will my boss think of my hiring ability? That there are lacking skills, but they did so well in the interview. I think they can overcome the lack of experience. Will they get along with other people on my team? Will they do just enough to get by or put in their max effort every day? If I invest my time training this person, are they going to leave for the next offer? This is the max I can spend. Are they always going to ask for more money? Will this person see what needs to be done and do it? Or will I have to manage their every move? Here are some evaluation areas that the interviewer is going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at your ability to communicate, your flexibility, your interpersonal skills, your appearance, your high energy, your leadership, competitiveness, honesty, maturity, your confidence. Also, your imagination, your optimism, your creativity, your initiative, your personality, your enthusiasm, your integrity, punctuality, experience, and also your interest. Here's a behind-the-scenes view of what the interviewer looks for. In the first impression stage, it's the introduction. a greeting or some sort of small talk about the weather, traffic condition, things like that. At this stage, the interviewer is evaluating your handshake, your appearance, wardrobe, and your easiness in an unfamiliar social situation. This usually lasts from 5 to 15 minutes. Remember, your first impression is extremely important. The second stage is known as the track record. An issue with this stage is your education, your work experience, and your level of responsibility. At this stage, the interviewer will ask around 10 to 15 questions designed to determine your ability to handle the job. This stage is usually the longest, and it ranges from 20 to 30 minutes. The third stage is reviewing your career goals. The interviewer's targeted questions will lead you to disclose your immediate objectives, your short-term objectives, long-term objectives, and it'll also show your interest in the company. This is also your chance to ask questions. It's important that you prepare at least three to five questions for this stage. The fourth stage is company match. Here you will discuss opportunities and how to fit in. The closing stage is often referred to as the summary. On this stage, you will review your credentials, you'll restate your interest, you will ask about and overcome any concerns. And finally, the interviewer will tell you at this stage when you will be notified of a decision when it is made. With that being said, here are 5 things that interviewers look for: first impressions, track record, career goals, company match, and a summary. Every interview is an opportunity to practice, learn, and reflect. Here are a few questions to ask yourself while assessing your performance. Did I make a good first impression? Did I talk enough? Did I justify my statements with factual statements? Which questions did I handle well? Which questions did I handle poorly? Was I confident? How was my appearance? Was I enthusiastic? Would I have been impressed with me? And finally, what will I do to improve my next interview? By asking yourself these questions, you will be able to assess your performance and help you learn and help you do better on your next interview. It's important to evaluate your performance also and reflect on how you could improve with your next opportunity. Here are a few things that you can reflect on. How well did the interview go? How do you feel that you did in regards to some of the decisions you made during the interview, and did you take any risks to distinguish yourself? 3, how well did you handle the interviewer's questions, and did you ask and get answers to your most important questions? 4, what could you have done differently? And 5, did you accomplish all your objectives? And while reflecting back on the interview, it's important to talk about thank you letters. Sending a thank you letter is not only proper etiquette, but is also your chance to shine. This isn't just an opportunity to thank the person for his or her time. This is a moment to remind them why they should hire you. When writing a thank you letter, keep the following in mind. Type it if you can. Be relatively formal. Mention the position. Make a reference to something that was discussed in the interview. Send your letter right after the interview. Keep it short and sound excited about working for the employer. While discussing the thank you letter, Career Edge Toolkit. Career Edge is there to help you with the thank you letter helper that is located right inside your account toolkit. The helper will guide you in writing a professional and more formal thank you letter. After you complete the fields that you were guided through, you'll be able to save your thank you letter, download it, and print the letter. As you can see here on the toolkit, as you click on the toolkit, it's the bottom right-hand corner where it says thank you letter. And on the right side, that was what will pop up, and it will give you some reminders on what a thank you letter needs to include. And after you are completed, like I said, you will be able to download and save and print that out. All right, guys. I'd like for you to log on to your account and continue learning about the interview process. It is in the professional development module in your career edge account. The module has videos that go in more detail of the 5 interviewing personality traits that we discussed, continues to go over the do's and the don'ts of the interview process, and the most cited reasons for rejecting applicants. The module also has assignments that you can complete online to prepare you for the interview. There are exercises on identifying your skills and abilities, along with help with identifying your strengths and your weaknesses. All right. Please reach out with any questions or concerns regarding the interview process, or if you have any problems navigating through the Kentucky Career Edge Toolkit. Please join me for the next Get That Job webinar with session 4. We will be discussing how to be successful on the job.